Let's talk a bit more about our top story, this attack on a mosque in Egypt where at least 235 people have been killed. The Egyptian scholar H.A. Hellyer joins us now from central London. Good to speak to you, sir. What's your reaction to what's happened in the Sinai Peninsula today?
I think we shouldn't underestimate the seriousness of this. This is the first time that you've seen an attack of this nature, of this magnitude, within Egypt in quite some time. It's probably the largest militant attack undertaken by terrorists in years. And it also indicates something about the types of targets that are now on offer, as it were, for these types of groups. 235 people is the latest death toll. I suspect that number will rise, and it's a redefinition of what it means to be a civilian within Egypt by these sorts of groups, which essentially means that absolutely nobody is off limits. Churches, mosques are quote-unquote legitimate targets for these types of groups, and I'm personally quite concerned about what this means for the future.
Is Egypt losing its fight against terrorism?
I wouldn't put it like that. I would say that you have a number of these attacks take place. I suspect we're going to see more of them in the future. Losing indicates that these attacks will simply escalate and never end. And I think that we also have put this into the context of the last few years. Egypt's a country of 100 million people, and you haven't seen these attacks on something like a daily basis or something like that, thank God. So losing, I'm not so sure. We've also seen in the UK a number of attacks take place over the past few years. Whether that means the UK is losing the fight against terrorism, I don't think that would be fair to say, but certainly it's a fight that people have to take very, very seriously indeed.
Tell us a bit more about the militant groups in the region and those that might be affiliated with Islamic State.
So within the north of Sinai, one suspects, and again, we haven't seen any claim that's been verified as of yet. It stands to reason that this is a group affiliated with ISIS in the Sinai Peninsula, what used to be called Wilayat Sina, the Sinai province. But again, we're not sure. We haven't seen any claim as of yet. But again, it does represent a change. You saw these sorts of groups, for example, behead a Sufi sheikh a year ago in that same area. Possibly even the same Sufi order that the mosque seems to have had some affiliation with. But we haven't seen these sorts of attacks before. It really does redefine what it means to be a civilian in the minds of these sorts of terrorist outfits.
So what has prompted this change?
I'm not sure, to be honest. We haven't seen any indication of a recent event. Obviously, the rhetoric from these sorts of groups has been very militant and extreme for a very long time. I mean, they are terrorist groups that are inspired or directly connected to ISIS. So they view Sufis as being heretics, as being traitors to the religion, and so on and so forth, which incidentally constitutes the normative mainstream strand of Sunni Islam which predominates in Egypt and indeed across the Sunni Muslim world. However, that's the way that these groups look at it. But it's the first time that we've seen them target with such barbarity in this way. I've never seen this before in Egypt. You've obviously seen attacks like these take place in places like Iraq, in Syria, but with these sorts of numbers in Egypt, this is new. Even though attacks on symbols of Sufism and on particular Sufi individuals, that is definitely not new in Egypt, but certainly at this sort of level, it's incredibly intense.
Egyptian President El-Sisi has given a televised statement in the last few minutes saying that this will not go unpunished, promising a brutal response. What's coming?
Again, we have no idea. The ISIS affiliate in the Sinai has been active there for several years. The genesis of that group goes back many years, probably about a decade. So the insurgency there has been ongoing for several years. I don't know what he intends to do in order to push this back. And keeping in mind, ISIS in the Sinai hasn't suddenly started killing people today. It's been going on for quite some time, and the security forces have been trying to put it down for quite some some time, but whether or not they've been successful or not, well, we've seen this attack today. They're certainly still active. If this is indeed ISIS Sinai, it might be another ISIS cell. I doubt it's another group entirely, but we have to wait and see.
H.A. Hellyer, thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you.